Welcome to Tricky Mickey. Please subscribe, share, and like. In this episode, we are going to explore everything about zombies. In the beginning, zombies began in Western African histories and tradition, according to the religious practices of the indigenous tribes of Western Africa. Because of the African slave trade, these traditions from West Africa were brought to Haiti and became voodoo. Here in Haiti, as the map indicates, it spread throughout this part of the island. Voodoo is a religious belief that the dead can be risen through magic spells and made into slaves to work for the person, the Bokor Voodoo Witch Doctor. The witch doctor has the power to enslave the newly risen dead and put them to work on the plantation, cutting cane and whatever else the slave is for. Also, the Voodoo Witch has the power to cast spells. They too are high priestesses of voodoo. And all of this practice of witchcraft is performed in the Voodoo Ceremony, which involves dancing, taking certain medication that is part of the voodoo ritual in the process of raising the dead. All of this witchcraft and power of darkness is, of course, evil. The Zonbi of Haiti, as the zombies are called, also known as the Undead, are used primarily as a vehicle to keep the people in line. They have always been a force of terrorism in the island. And for generation after generation of Haitians, Haitian parents have also used the zombie as a means of disciplining their children. The boogeyman of Hades is the zombie, or the Zonbi, as they are referred to in Haiti. We have one evidence of a living dead zombie. His name was Clairvius Narcisse of Haiti. In 1962, he was certified dead by 2 doctors and buried. In 1980, he reunited with his family. He told his family that a Bokor stole my soul and made me a slave, quote unquote. This man was a zombie for 17 years. A scientist, Wade Davis, investigated his claims and found that the voodoo priests use a powder fish that has pterodotoxin, a parasitic poison found in the pufferfish. Does the CDC in the United States have a zombie plan? This plan is called 8888, a preventative plan against a zombie pandemic outbreak. How can a pandemic of zombie break out? Well, their plan calls for many different scenarios. A vegetarian zombie is some type of pandemic or virus that eliminates plants and leads to mass starvation. A pathogenic zombie is a spread by diseases or virus, just like in the movies. A bioweapon for warfare can be created in a lab mixed with nano-robots to invade the human body. This fungi, as you can see, causes some insects to become mental zombies and obey the fungi's strategy for survival. As you can see, when the fungi infects insects, it makes it grow out of their head, causing eventual death, but not before it serves its purpose according to nature. Brain parasites can be transferred to human being by many types of tapeworms that can invade due to bad processing of food, such as mad cow disease, which is very contagious and can leave people becoming very violent, affected with hallucination, lack of coordination, and muscle twitching and seizures, which eventually leads to death. All of these brain parasites are very common in nature. Toxoplasmosa infects half of the human population. Also, human beings can be infected by rabies, which, if not properly treated, can also lead to death. The CDC has stated that this plan is primarily meant for a hypothetical scenario. But as we all know, government has a way of withholding information. What does the CDC in the United States really know that they're hiding from the people? What will you do when the zombie apocalypse happens? If you want to survive a zombie apocalypse, you first must learn how to run very fast. Unfortunately, with most people today becoming fatter by the minute, like unfortunately most Americans, this isn't only going to lead in a zombie apocalypse to a lot of people being just dead fat weight. Nothing better than zombie food. Oh, what a great loss that's going to be. But here we have the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh happened a long time ago, back in ancient Babylonia, in which they write in their tablets that evil, flesh-eating dead people came out of their tomb to judge sinful people, according to their legend. This led to a lot of evil people being consumed by the living dead, what we call today zombies. But what about the modern zombie? How did that come into existence? Well, it all started with George A. Romero. George A. Romero created a movie back in 1968 in reference to Night of the Living Dead. This movie really was an allegorical telling of the problem that America was suffering back in the late 60s due to the Vietnam War, and how no one was safe. Because in the Vietnam War, there was no traditional boundary as to where the enemy is. The enemy could be anywhere, striking like terrorists and fading into the night. So with this movie, he created the modern zombie epidemic and the characteristics that goes with it, which established the foundation. But are you going to be ready for the zombie apocalypse? You will need a survival kit. What do you have to survive? To be those people unique to overcome this kind of pandemic. Because all human history has always had pandemic. As early as 1918, the world suffered a pandemic that destroyed 5% of the human population, around 100 million people. What if another pandemic occurs? Will you be ready for it? Here are some suggestions what to do if a zombie apocalypse happens. Find a place in the countryside with access to water, like a lake or river. Learn how to fish. It's very important for survival. Run up to the mountains. Great lookout point in case you see the zombie. Find an abandoned shelter. The government has many of them. Find a deserted island where you can hide. Or any fallout shelter that used to be built for atomic warfare. Zombies are more likely to happen. Or move to Alaska or some cold climate. Zombies do not function well in cold climate. Things that you will need in order to survive a zombie apocalypse. A survival kit. You will need, obviously, guns. Lots of them. But don't be weighed down by them. Learn how to use firearms. Also a sword, preferably Japanese in origin. They make the best swords in the world. An all-terrain vehicle that can go out into the countryside without any need for... Also, you will need a crowbar. This is very good in hitting everything that comes anywhere near you. You will need a water purifier, as you can see in the picture. You will need meals ready to be eaten. Dry, good food that come prepackaged. A rope to scale down mountains and tie up things. Flashlight. Hopefully with plenty of batteries that can be recharged. Night goggles. You need to see what's coming at you at nighttime. Binoculars for the daytime. You need to see from a safe distance what is coming. You need some type of helmet to protect your head. Zombies, for some unexplainable reason, want to eat your brain. Duct tape. We all need duct tape for everything. Shovels. This is not to dig your own grave. This is to dig for food and planting. A radio, portable, that can be easily charged. Flint. Forget about matches. They're easily susceptible to warmth. Flint is important. A breathing apparatus. Cities are going to be breaking down. There's going to be all sorts of pollution. You need good air to breathe. Goggles for the daytime. An axe, preferably this kind, to chop up anything coming near you. What are the best zombie movies that I recommend? White Zombies from 1932. Bela Lugosi. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. The movie that made the modern zombie come to life. Dawn of the Dead, the director's cut from 1978. Zombie 2 from 1979. Return of the Living Dead, 1985. This is the movie that started the craze about eating brains. Day of the Dead, 1985. George A. Romero. From Australia, Brain Dead, 1992. From Great Britain, 28 Days Later. Land of the Dead, 2004, also by George A. Romero. Shaun of the Dead from Great Britain, 2004. Zombieland, 2009. Warm Bodies, 2013. World War Z, 2013. But what about your personal future in a zombie world? What are you going to do with all this information I gave you? How are you going to prepare to survive, you and your family? Are you going to be like this? Just walking around aimlessly? Dead to the world? Are you going to be food for somebody? Just lying there? Providing nourishment? Being ganged up? Being ripped apart? Screaming with no one to answer because everybody is planning to survive? Are you going to be able to run away from zombie hordes if you're not in shape? What are you going to be doing? Who are you going to be your partners? Don't be food for the dead. Learn to live. Learn to fight back. Learn to survive. Thank you very much. Please subscribe. This is Tricky Mickey. Until next time.